welcome to the second episode in the Travel Daily and Cruise Weekly exclusive series with Crystal Cruises. Today we're heading to Waiheke Island.
How good is this?
Well, Karen, thank you for having me here at Waiheke Island at Mud Brick Winery.
Isn't this a fantastic spot?
It is. I'm looking forward to hearing about the places Crystal visits and the shoreside experiences.
So often I'm asked about what's my favourite cruise destination and where would I go next, but the reality is the cruise and all our beautiful onboard amenities and the all-inclusive offerings that Crystal do is only one element of having a true cruise experience. And the other part of it is what people get to do shoreside, and Mud Brick is just an example. So today we thought we'd immerse you in an actual experience, Crystal experience, so that you can see what happens when we do take you ashore and how that all comes together as well.
Crystal has thousands of shoreside experiences offered across ocean, river and yacht. What's involved in choosing and organising these experiences?
It's hard work, to be honest, and it's not by accident by any means, but remembering Crystal has been in the business for over 25 years. But a lot of this is about relationships shoreside and authenticity and a unique experience. And we're led by a guy by the name of John Stoll, who's our Vice President of Land Programs, who has a really great team. But he's been doing this for Crystal for, I'm going to say, 20 years. So who he doesn't know and hasn't met to deliver these shoreside experiences that are unique, and they've got to be done well. I mean, you're a luxury brand. People want authenticity, but they want value when they get to their shoreside experiences, and you'll see that with what we do today at Mud Brick as part of an example of what we can deliver shoreside, and I think you're going to be very impressed.
Are these shoreside experiences included in the cruise fare?
Well, with the brand experiences we've got, it's a bit different. So ocean, no. Ocean, they're optional shore excursions, and varying sort of different, like today is an optional shore excursion. But with river, we have included shore excursions, but we do some specialty excursions as well. For an example, a behind the scenes at the Belvedere Palace in Vienna, after dark, exclusive to Crystal guests only. And then with the yacht, we have two categories, cultural exploration and active adventure. And I think that's important as well, because people that haven't cruised at all, that still have a bit of a perception where it's going to be too quiet for them, or the husband might feel he's going to get bored, or the wife. There's lots of things that we can build around an itinerary, ShoreX-wise, to just give that, to take that assumption away and make it as active or inactive landside as you possibly want it to be.
Could you tell us a little more about this volunteerism program?
Yes, I can. It's a program we call You Care, We Care. And what that means is there's complementary opportunities when we go shoreside in certain areas of the world to give back a little bit, but experience some unique things. Things like in Dunedin, where we do the tree conservation efforts and shelter the yellow-eyed penguins. Or perhaps feed the elderly at the Mercy Kitchen in Belize, assisting us with the care of the animals in Samui, the Koh Samui shelter in Thailand. These are awesome things. Darwin, you could also get the Wildlife Territory Park and the conservation team in the Botanical Gardens. Or perhaps in Barcelona learn that there is marine life and even participate in the rescue of a dolphin. So it's that sort of thing that it's a little bit unique to us. But as I said, you know, it's an opportunity to do things throughout the world that if you want to, you can. And it's a quite nice, a bit of a give back from Crystal to the communities, and I think that's important.
Is there an experience that you see as uniquely Crystal?
Oh, well, actually there's over 2,000 destination discoveries across ocean, river and yacht. So an absolute unique and favourite? Well, I've got a couple to share with you. Why don't I see if you think they're unique? Remember we spoke about a fighter jet experience where you take the fighter jet flight over Moscow? Not my thing, a fighter jet, but others potentially. Or gorilla trekking. I love this because it's a pre-cruise land experience offered by Crystal for a limited number of guests. And they get to follow two families of endangered mountain gorillas who make their home in Uganda Burundi's forest. Another one I like is the 3 or 4 night private game reserve at the majestic Victoria Falls in Zimbabwe. I don't know if you've had a chance to go to Zimbabwe, but doing that is unique and amazing. And I'd have to say, out of those 3, that's my favourite.
Personalisation has become increasingly important for today's luxury traveller. How does Crystal personalise the shore experience?
Yeah, it is absolutely the key to success, I think. You've got to make it feel unique, like we've talked about, so the personalisation is important. So some of the ways that we do that are, for an example, I spoke to you about my favourite being in Zimbabwe. So that would only be a small group of people, probably no more than 20, that would go and experience that shore excursion. And other things that we do are pre and post land experience options, such as the safari I just mentioned. Design your own time. We have a perfect destination team that will craft out a private adventure for you or for your people. And in ocean, I think it's important because the ships carry just over 1,000 or just under what we call boutique adventures, which are, as I said, comprised of smaller groups to ensure an overall experience. And this is where it's got to be, unique to people of what the traveller, again, that we've talked about, but again, that we don't overcrowd people on shore excursions, that they're small, so that they get the time at the destinations and immerse themselves in those experiences. And that's where the personalisation is going to come from.
What are you finding to be the most popular or sought after cruise destinations?
It really depends on the traveller. And what I mean by that, if this is a first time cruiser, then they're probably going to lean towards places that are a little bit safer in terms of the destination or potentially the thought of perhaps they might get seasick. So Alaska usually is the first one they'll look towards, or the Mediterranean. But then you've also got people that don't want to do ocean at all and they like to do the river. The European Christmas markets are popular. But then you've got the repeat traveller that's going to look for the tick off the list, somewhere like Miramar or Antarctica or Russia Far East. Japan is the most popular destination in tourism at the moment, 2 years running. So Japan, any time we have Japan on an itinerary for cruising, is incredibly popular by first timers or repeat. So it seems to be a hot destination at the moment. For agents that perhaps don't have an understanding of the destination, maybe I can guide them through some of the choices that we have. As I said, we've spoken about ocean before, but the Mediterranean, one of my favourites. I would go back time and time again to the Med. I particularly love places like Montenegro and Qatar. The European season is getting longer, so traditionally it was May to September, but often now you'll see Crystal go from May to October, November. And as I mentioned before, the magnificent Christmas markets on the Danube and the Rhine sailings from Passau and Budapest, Alaska and Canada or the New England. Crystal's Symphony will go to the Inside Passage, iconic destinations like Ketchikan, Sitka, Haine and Skagway. And I have been spoilt and done Alaska twice, and I wouldn't hesitate to go back. And Jasmine, let's not forget the benefit of close to home sailings, Australia and New Zealand. I mean, I think there's a lot of people today that don't like the airport, so one flight's great or no flights, and we've got some fantastic itineraries around Australia and New Zealand. Look where we are today.
What about a traveller who's choosing a second or a third cruise?
When I say a second option for people, some of those destinations like Antarctica are not going to be for everybody, but let me say it is unique, it is amazing, and I would encourage anyone to go. But there are other, like for example, the river cruising. Moselle is a new popular itinerary that we brought into the mix in 2018, and the Moselle River is different to the Danube and the Rhine. So we've got to constantly be looking for areas that we haven't sailed to before to keep the repeat customer happy. So one of the other things I just want to make mention of is we've talked about our ocean product, we've talked about our river product, we've talked about a little bit about the Crystal Esprit, which is that gorgeous little 62 passenger vessel that does the West Indies and the Croatia coast, and it will also do the Arabian Nights collection in 2019, October this year. But also in 2020 we'll go into expedition with the Crystal Endeavour, the purpose-built 200 passenger expedition product. And her first sailing will be the destinations Russia, Far East and Japan. And we talked about Japan being popular, so already that's filling very, very quickly. And that's going to have some amazing itineraries that you just can't access without an expedition ship.
World cruises are an interesting option. What do you think makes them popular, and what has Crystal got planned for the next world cruise?
Can you believe we're talking 2020 already? That will be our 25th anniversary though, which is kind of exciting in itself. I think world cruises, there's a bit of a perception out there that it's only for the retirees, but that's not the case at all. The way in which Crystal does it, when we go on sale for a world cruise, so for an example 2020 is 105 days, we break that into shorter segments from the very moment we go on sale, so that people of any age and duration can actually go on what we deem to be a segment of our world cruise. So when I say 105 nights, this particular journey is going to go from Miami to Rome, and it's going to cover 23 countries and 47 ports with over 17 overnights. And those overnights are really important because people then, to truly get to experience your shoreside experience when they're overnighting. But things like transiting through the Panama and the Suez Canal, as well as the Pacific and Indian Oceans, Tasman and Mediterranean seas, are just some of the areas that we're going to go through with the 2020 World Cruise. It'll be a port-intensive tour around New Zealand, so we're really loving our countrysides of Australia and New Zealand, and it's important that we call into both those destinations because, as I said, there are a number of people that want to do close-to-home sailings. We also journey through the Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia and Thailand en route to Sri Lanka. We'll have overnights in Cochin and Mumbai and the ancient empires of Oman, Israel, Jordan and Egypt. These are becoming sought-after destinations, so we're pleased to have them on our itinerary mix for 2020. But we will never forget to visit the lesser explored Mediterranean destinations that I've mentioned to you I can go back to time and time again.
Previously we've delved into Crystal's new expedition ship, Crystal Endeavour. Can you tell me about the highlights of her inaugural season?
Yeah, she'll change the mix of Crystal again and the ever-evolving brand that we have in this business, because it'll be 200 passengers and it'll go to destinations like, well, it'll sail after the Japan Olympics in 2020. So it's going to be doing Rush of the Far East in Japan, and then it'll head down through Asia and into, I want to talk about our area of the business in terms of Australia and New Zealand, because it's going to give us an opportunity to take a vessel of 200 passengers into a little place like Waiheke Island in Tasmania. That there is a limit. The Tasmanian government is putting a stop to how big anything can go into certain parts of Tasmania. And I had to go and experience Waiheke Island, but you know, that's okay. It was fantastic. So known for cheeses and their food and their produce, but the history of Waiheke Island is also very exciting, and I'm going to leave that, so you have to go on the voyage. But I also mentioned the importance of close to home itineraries. We've talked about Antarctica. So we're going to take the Crystal Endeavour from Hobart and from Christchurch to do across the Ross Sea and experience that side of Antarctica. We're all but sailed full on our first voyage at the beginning of 2021. So that's how popular the destinations are when you can actually access or start from your own area of the world, and I think that's an important point for us. And we're pretty excited about having that ship in our region for its first year of itinerary sailing, so we're looking forward to that. So Jasmine, you probably gathered I'm a bit excited about the Crystal Endeavour, but we are pulling together now the Crystal Shore experiences that will come with those itineraries. But you know I like to keep something up my sleeve, and we have a webinar series to come on our expedition product, so I'm not telling you anything else. You're going to have to wait.
Does that mean we're going to have to film on board?
Oh, go on then, let's do that. Why not, hey?
Would you guys care to join me for a drink?
Absolutely. I thought you'd never ask, Bob. Cheers. I really appreciate the day in Budbrick. No wonder we bring our Crystal Society members and guests here. It's been a great day. Thank you very, very much.
It's been a pleasure having you. It's been a pleasure talking about wine with you. Cheers.
Cheers.